Okay, we'll get going here, if that's okay with everybody. First of all, thank you so much for taking time out of your evening to come in and give us your input and vision on the community center. Little bit about who I am. I'll go fast. Oh, I'm gonna give the quick one now, come on. So anyhow, my background, I won't do the whole long thing, but I was a city administrator in Oakdale for over 21 years and worked a lot with North St. Paul as a neighbor and so forth. And then I retired, went to Hamlin full-time as a faculty member, so I was there for 4 years, and thought I was about done, and then I got a call after one of the manager changes here, see if I'd be interested in coming in as an interim for a couple months, and I enjoyed it, and my 2 months turned into it was a year and a half by the time they finally got me out of here. So. And then I've been consulting. I have my own consulting company, work with about 40 different local units of government and so forth. But when I saw the change in management here again, I offered to come back and help out a little bit in kind of an advisory type of perspective. So. That's how I ended up back here. Like I said, I just can't stay away. And one of the main projects I'm working on with the city council is the community center and where we go with that. And our intent tonight is to just hear more from you, what you think about in terms of the future use of that. The city council has voted that they don't really want to get rid of it, but they still want to hear what you're thinking, and if there's significant concerns about that potential of keeping it and working on it, I'm sure they'll want to hear about that too. So that's the whole intent tonight, is just to hear what you think, what your perspective is, and the vision of where we're going. I'm going to be going around and giving each one of you a chance to speak. There are no right or wrong answers. And then Carrie is monitoring our online participation, so she's been keeping an eye on that, and we'll be sure and hear from the people. So what I'd like to do is go around and simply hear from each one of you in terms of what your perspective is. Like I said, there's no right or wrong answers. We just want to hear everything. I will list them out, and then before we let you slip out of here, I've got some dots, and I'll ask you to essentially tell me which ones stand out to you in terms of your priorities. So, makes sense? Everybody comfortable with that? Is that okay? Workable for all of you? Well, let's go around and just kind of get your ideas and hear what you think. And this is kind of brainstorming and visioning and perspective all rolled into one. So, and like I said, absolutely, there's no right or wrong answers. If you would have left that chair there, you could have gone first. Okay. So we get to start with you. So, and if somebody doesn't want to say anything and you're just here to listen, that's okay too. But tell everybody, if you would, who you are, and I'm listening.
I'm Jenny O'Reilly, and I have no ideas right now. I'm just here to listen.
Okay,
I just want to know what's going on.
okay, that's perfectly fine. Okay, sir.
I'm Jason Needham. I live over by Hazy Park, or however you pronounce it.
Okay,
Pretty much just finding out what's going on with the whole idea, and I say keep renting it.
okay,
I understand renting it to the volleyball thing now. Look at other organizations if they can utilize it when they're not using it, so.
okay. So keep renting it,
make
Volleyball.
money out of it. Yeah.
okay? Or any other organizations that may be interested. Okay,
The local Boy Scouts should be a place to go do their shindig,
oh, okay.
such as that, or
Okay. All right, good, got it.
Girl Scouts, or.
Did you already go over how big it is, the square footage of the
I don't know offhand how big it is.
24.
Brian, do you have any idea?
4,000.
Okay. It's big. Big,
38,000.
okay. Yeah, been around since 92, so pretty good history there, so. All right, we'll jump over here. Hi, what do
Hi.
you think?
My name's Angel, and I live over Chisholm Avenue area. I am really in support of keeping the community center as a community center. I think it's really important just for our community to have a place to go, for young people to have somewhere fun to go to, whether it's basketball, programming, yeah, just a safe place, and a place, yes, we can gather as a community and utilize it in that way.
Okay, more of a public use then, or public-private mix, or what do you think?
Sure, I mean, even if nonprofits or other people were in there, but kind of a community hub, I guess, is my thoughts on it.
Okay.
Yeah, basketball,
Get that community.
community, yeah.
Okay.
My name is Mario. This is my beautiful wife right here. We've been residents for 25 years.
Okay,
We definitely are in support of a community center. About a year ago, we started a youth and young adult mentoring nonprofit. It's called YIM. And we've been focusing over the last 20 plus years, my father back here. So I started YIM to solidify his legacy in youth and young adult mentoring.
okay.
And primarily it was on the east side and Frogtown,
Okay.
all those neighborhoods. But over the last probably 2 years, we come to realize that North St. Paul is severely lacking, don't have anything for youth to feel like they can go and belong and feel safe. And so, yeah, I started this 501c3 about a year ago.
Oh, good.
And yeah, I think you had mentioned potentially having other organizations in there. We're definitely ready, willing, and able to run programming and just work in conjunction with whoever that wants to see some positive growth and impact in our city, especially because it's about to expand dramatically.
Yep,
And there's really, I mean, we got 12 or 13 parks, but nowhere for a lot of these youngsters to go. And so the streets are definitely calling, as we've seen over the news over the last year or so. There's been some troubling things and bad publicity in North St. Paul. And I think that we, myself, our organization, and other like-minded organizations that want to do the work can come and utilize this public building.
tell me the name of the org again, if you would.
YIM, WHYIAM.
Just like it sounds.
Yeah, reaching youth where we're at, where they're at, and we started to break the cycle of hopelessness and
Oh,
youth
good.
incarceration.
Oh, nice work, good work. Sir?
I'm Jeff Schmidt. I've been back in North St. Paul for 16 years after growing up here. I live over by St. Peter's. And I'm just going to segue off what some of the others have said. I like the idea of continuing to lease it out maybe to the volleyball school. That's a revenue stream to help keep the building with the upkeep and the HVAC needs and things that are due to be updated. Also, though, maybe making it available to some of the local athletic associations, like the hockey association, for maybe dry land training in the fall, spring, or even in the summer months, and for the baseball association for spring training, maybe winter training. I know we have Take the Field up the street here, but they also are a for-profit baseball school, so maybe making it available to the baseball association when they're not available. I don't know if there's like drop-down nets for batting practice in there or anything like that, but maybe worth considering.
Is that all right if I add it on to this one?
Oh, heck,
Sure,
that's-
yep.
That actually the kind of stuff I was.
Yep.
You guys, okay, okay.
And then if none of that pans out, that German beer hall idea is a good one too.
I know, yes. I thought we'd start out on a positive note with that one, so where can you go wrong with that, right? So, good,
Thank you.
yeah. Well, what's a former council member have to say?
Tom Sonic, 16th Avenue. Yeah, whoever put German beer hall, I'll second that one.
Yeah.
I just like the idea of having more mixed use and something more like a community center, like where it started. I mean, my feeling is that you don't really need to have like all the workout equipment and stuff like that. Planet Fitness does it better and cheaper for that kind of thing. But I think there are other things where it would be great to see it more of a community hub. Somebody mentioned that. I think about why not having, if it's not the food shelf or the toy shelf and all that stuff, and Mario's group, things like that, where all those things that benefit the community, it's all in one place or something like that. But love to, the downtown especially is, we got a game changer down there with Max and the new apartment building, and then all the 100 townhomes at the other end of the street. So it's just going to be more and more traffic come down there, I think. So
We just got a nice proposal for the redevelopment of the Lilly Building. too,
excellent,
as part of
yeah.
everything down
So
there,
there's going to be more people downtown. So it'd be good to have that resource available.
How much actual property does that building sit on? Just under an acre? Okay.
Well, I'm glad you're back there, Brian, good.
That's the physical property itself though, because there's also public lots that are kind of attached
Yep.
to it. So when the original plan of selling and that kind of stuff, it's complicated to sell that building because of the parking lots and the public use there. But
Yep.
sorry, I'm speaking.
No, that's okay, it's all right.
So,
Then I don't have to answer the question.
That's okay.
So, good, good. Hi.
Hi, my name is Chris Sonic. I am Tom Sonic's wife from 16th Avenue. And I'm thrilled to hear about Mario's organization. I was doing some reading today. And why? Why would any community have a community center? And one of the big answers was for our youth, for our kids. Our kids need a safe place to go after school. I'm imagining all these kids we're talking about are probably playing a video game, some basement somewhere, right? And they're not out meeting each other and learning and developing. So, and then I have sort of an all ages approach when and it is a little sad, sometimes I go work out at the Maplewood Community Center, and you know what I see over there? People a little bit older than me, but walking. Walking, having a great time, and then having a cup of coffee. All ages, the old, the young, but I love to see that we'd have to have a little coffee shop in there or something. But this approach to it that all are welcome for one reason or another. And then the money-making aspect, yes, all the sports and stuff, but Tom and I are actors, and we've been doing some community theater as of late. And do you know where community theaters go to rehearse? Churches. Because they have a big room, and so these churches are making a nice little, pile of cash off of that. And that's another thing. People are always looking for those spaces to be. And so I think there's tons of, money-making opportunity. But also the community piece. I'm going to come to a different city council meeting, and Tom says I'm crazy, but I would like a farmer's market in this town. We can't buy a fresh tomato in North St. Paul. I eat Cub tomatoes, and I don't like it. But things like that that gather people and a mixed age approach is my idea.
Okay. Good. Hi.
Hi, I'm Gina. My son Ryder is right there. He goes to North High School. I'm a North High School graduate. My parents used to belong to the community center when it was open.
Okay.
We don't have one community center with a gym or adequate space for any kid in North St. Paul, just past the parks. That's a huge equity issue for me. You have a private club in there where kids are coming from all over in different states. We have nothing for our community right here. If you know the way the world is right now, we need positive outlets for our young people and for people of all ages. Pickleball is super popular right now. My parents play it. They have to drive into St. Paul to play it when they live right here. I love the play idea. I think you can make just as much revenue on things like that. Grants and funding through the nonprofit. That's another amazing outlet. There's ways we can find funding. I think you need to keep it local for families. I love the idea of a farmer's market. Do it in the parking lot. Community is huge here, and we can fight for our young people. We can't even get in our gym at North High School. They're under construction right now. So these kids back here, we have to drive them to play. They don't even have equitable space in their own community. So that's why I'm here, that's why we're here, and super passionate about keeping it community. Love the nonprofit idea.
Okay.
And there's a lot of funding out there right now in CARES Act for nonprofits and money that can fix that building.
Okay. Yes. Yes. Amen. Good.
Because I'm going to join it, because this is our.
Okay. Now
My
you're
name
creeping
is-
back up again. She goes back.
Yes, my name is Kendall. Gina invited me here. We're all basketball moms. We'd
Okay.
all like to see it used more as a rec center,
Okay.
continue to keep it a community center. You know, we came from the east side where my son utilized all of the rec centers. We played at Dayton's Bluff, Duluth and Case, Margaret, everywhere. And we came to North St. Paul and there's nowhere.
Okay.
And his teammates, they don't even have parental support at the games. They have nowhere to go. So seeing a program like Mario and Angel's program would be amazing.
Nice. Okay. Hello.
Hi, my name is Tracy. I am a co-director of North St. Paul basketball, so you can probably guess where my vote's going. But I am very, very passionate about the youth in our community. I have sat on the North St. Paul board in some fashion for football and basketball for close to 20 years. I have 3 sons. My youngest is going to be a freshman at North. 2 that have graduated, and we have nothing for them. How do we expect our youth to do better when we're not providing them a safe place to go?
Okay.
I envision it, I know there's conference rooms, we've used it as birthday parties for my older son when it was a community center. It was a great place where these kids could go, they could feel safe, they could walk there, they could ride their bikes there. Being a sports parent, I see game after game after game where these kids have not even a parent to come to the game. They don't have the $6 to get into the game. These kids have no support. But if they can go to a place that has support, even if it's volunteers there to help them with homework after school, if I had the money, I would build one in the middle of North St. Paul and invite everybody. But unfortunately, that's just not realistic.
Well, we may be asking.
Gina's got the hookup on funds, so. But we need a place where these kids can ride their bike. They don't necessarily have a parent that can drive them. I know that currently we're renting it out to JO Volleyball, and I think that's great to keep kids active, but a lot of those are not kids in our community, and we have to look out for our community in order to be able to keep our kids off the street. With my boys personally, we made them do an activity every season. And the reason was, I knew my boys were going to outgrow me someday, and I needed them to have a straight path, because once you start looking off of that path, you find things that you don't want them to look to.
Sure.
That goes for all of the kids in our community. We need these kids to have some place where they can go, where they can feel safe, where they know their friends are going to be, where they can get their homework done, where they can play basketball, they can play the sports that they're looking to do, and make those good choices so they're not just riding their bikes down North St. Paul and finding trouble.
Good. Got it.
Hi, my name is Dream McLaughlin. My son will be is it a junior? Yeah. North St. Paul. He's a basketball player. Her son, my son, they've known each other. They're like brothers. This whole crew here, they're basketball fam. I'm against privatizing the facility. I am open and all for keeping it open to the public. Community center, keyword community, not private. It's not a volleyball center. I'm sorry. no other way I can say it. I also feel that it should not just be for volleyball or certain hand-picked organizations. I feel like, one, it's an insult and a slap in the face to our youth here in North St. Paul, to our kids here that showed up right now, that are all for it, that are in support. It's a slap in the face to them. My daughter's here. My son couldn't make it. He's out celebrating because he got his permit or whatever, so he's at a dinner with his dad.
Whole new adventure for the
He drove there.
Yep, whole new adventure.
So I'm against that too.
Okay.
I have always been for kids, for youth. I've been a youth rehabilitation worker 20 plus years ago. I used to work in a school. I used to be a tutor, a teacher. I did that for 6 years. I am now a global investment banker, so just to piggyback off of what Gina says, there is a lot of funding. I know a lot of people. My clientele are billion-dollar entities, so I could go out, look at my book of business and say, hey, and market that and potentially get funding that way. But I have the hookups. I know a lot of very wealthy people all over the US, different countries as well.
Good.
I feel like it should be open up to the community. Right now, I drive my son to Woodbury, and that's fine and everything. I pay for it. However, why should we have to when we have a facility potentially opening up for free to our kids here that live here? So that's another reason why I came here. I didn't have to. Typically, I work 10 to 15 hours the last few days of the month because I prepare for billions of dollars coming in, but I took my time out because this is something very sensitive to me, to our community, to our boys, to my children. I also have 2 other girls that will be, hitting high school in the next, few years. So it's like, the kids are our future, basically. So I feel like we should look at this as not just profit, not just for money. This is for our kids. We need to open it up. It needs to be for free. We need to be able to develop certain things so that they feel confident every day after school. We also have to look at the fact of the matter is there are some kids in our community right now, you might live next door to them, that don't have a happy home, that come from abusive parents or alcohol or drugs. This community center could supply a good, open, healthy outlet for them for at least a few hours, or say 9 p.m. they close, healthy snacks. You have to look at that as well. It can't just be for volleyball or one hand-picked organization. That's wrong.
Okay.
So I'm sorry, I'm very passionate, but that is the truth. I just say it's big to advocate for the kids. I can't stress that enough, and I feel like with their programming and stuff, we could bring a lot of stuff in. I created stuff 20 plus years ago for high-risk teens from the age of 13 to 18 that were cutters, that were suicidal. I developed a successful, it was outlet for them. And I would even be willing, and mark my words, to do this on my own time for free, to do that, to work with girls in our community that would be suffering from certain things like that. So just to put it out there, there are so many things that people would be willing to bring, to step up, to create, for the center if it was open for free. So that's why I'm here, and that's part of it. I mean, I could go on and on, but I'm sure all these people are here. I could just fucking, talk all day. I'm sorry, but I'm just, it's got to stay open. We got to keep it open for our kids. That's just the most important.
Okay, good. And who are you, sir?
Dave Nelson, 4th and Margaret, North St. Paul. Been here 38 years. And everything has been brought up about kids. If you are going to keep it, what about the seniors? We used to have a coffee shop. We used to have a game room. There was crafts, and there used to be movies once in a while. And they used to have once a month, they would have a truck come in where the public could buy groceries at a discount. Especially Thanksgiving, you got pies, you got a turkey, you got everything you needed for the table. They also used to have once a year where different businesses would come in and offer, like for gardening, roofing, or anything like that. I missed all that.
Okay.
Most of all, I miss, for seniors. So if you are gonna keep it, don't leave the seniors out.
Okay, got it. All right. Move this one over. I'll start a second row here. Keep going.
Oh, I was like, I missed that part.
Okay, who's that good-looking guy next to me?
John Schmall, Chisholm Avenue. I've been in the city for 47 years. And all of these wonderful ideas are really wonderful. But in 2012, the city made a decision. The facility was hemorrhaging money. They couldn't pay for the employees. The shops didn't make any money, or the little coffee shops or whatever. They just said, we're out of here. We can't pay for it. And that's the big thing. What are you willing to pay for? First of all, it's going to take over $2 million to do the maintenance on this building that should have been done over the last 10 years. It's falling apart. It's a pile of junk, and it needs money. And if you want to do all of these things that you have put up here that are wonderful, what are you willing to pay in increased taxes to do that? Make up that in your mind. I'm willing to have my taxes increased by X amount of money. Nobody has said that so far. I'm willing to do this when May and October comes to pay your taxes. How much more are you willing to pay for all this stuff? Because it's not going to come free. It's going to take people that are on site to watch these children, to make sure there isn't trouble. It doesn't happen by itself. So I'm asking you to put in your mind how much you are willing to pay for this.
Whatever it takes for my kids. There ain't no dollar amount.
RT Luchek, I am the said volleyball program. I'm the owner and director. And I hear you. I do. I think community is very important. One thing that we've always done, and while we've been in this space, is we've worked with everyone who wants to work with us. We've reached out to the library. Library uses our facility whenever they need. The city will use the facility and schedule us as a backup site whenever they need, whether it's for the car show, whether it's for movie night, or whatever it is. And ultimately, we are the ones currently right now that are paying the bills. Currently, the city does profit $70,000 per year on the facility in the current lease that as it's structured. Over the time that the facility has been there, they've only managed to save approximately $160,000 in the account right now. So that's what's in the community center account. They do have bills right now. They have bills of over $2 million to renovate the facility and bring it back to its condition that's needed. So John is right in that respect, that it is going to cost money. Let me give you just a brief, very brief history. When, as John alluded to, when the city decided to close the facility, I think, Tom, you might have been on the council around then in 2012? No? Okay, so before your time. Before your time. There were 220 North St. Paul residents utilizing the facility. That's an average of 1.9%. And that's disappointing. If there's a community center, I want more people using it. But that was the truth at the time. And at that time, the facility was losing up $400,000 per year. That's where that was. You can divide that out by how many residents and figure out what it cost everyone. Do I want that? No, I don't. That's why in 2018, when the hockey program that was there for 5 minutes, when they left, we worked at the city, and we said the first thing that we offered the city was a public-private partnership. We wanted to work with the city to open it up during the day for whatever uses that we were talking about, and then we would simply utilize the gym time in the evening for practice. At that time, our program was small. We had, I want to say, about 16 teams. We're now at 35 year-round. So we've grown in that time, and we've grown with the city. We bring approximately 150,000 visitors to this city every single year. And that does benefit the local community. It benefits all of the businesses. It's Max Diner, which is brand new. It's all the local restaurants. And if and when we leave, those are gone right away, those 150,000 visitors, because they just won't come downtown. So that's a little bit of the history. Us as an organization, we do have a community impact. North St. Paul High School right now is hosting an event. That's ours. They're going to make approximately, in the month of July, they're going to make around $10,000 for their athletic department. They host a couple times a year. So I want to say they make about $20,000 by hosting events that we run. And that's just basically turning on the lights. We provide everything else for them. Over the course of our business history, we've assisted in raising over $1 million for local sports programs and local colleges and local universities and local grade schools and middle schools and high schools. That's kind of who we are. We provide community service hours. We do thousands of community service hours per year, whether it's Second Harvest or Feed My Starving Children. But we give back to the community. And hearing some of these ideas, I really actually want to sit down and have a discussion if we wind up staying with why I am. Because that sounds like amazing daytime programming that can utilize unutilized time in the facility. Pickleball, great daytime use. Walkers, great daytime use. Those are all things that are possible in this facility. I remember back in 2018, a former city manager came and said there was a drama group that was interested in possibly utilizing some space. And we were like, yeah, we're all for it. But I mean, can we get a reduction in our rent? And they're like, nope. Like, okay, well, I mean, then, so that was, I mean, that's a little bit of that history. What do we want? We want to basically just, all of this is going to take time. Renovating a facility is going to take time. We're working with the city right now just to have our lease extended a couple months. And then after that, it's up to the community what's done with it. Are we a part of that? We'd love to be. We really would. And I think we've talked to Dr. Waldron a little bit about what does it look like if we have another site and then come here and use some time here and pay and continue to utilize and provide funds for the city. We're open to doing that. But we hear you. We know how important that is, and we want the community to be involved. And if people have ideas on how to do that, I mean, even right now, reach out to us. I mean, we're here for probably at least another year, but we're more than happy to have people coming in and using the space and providing other programming. We've brought 6 businesses into town. You had mentioned the baseball program. What's funny is he started with us. Yeah, he was actually, it's a young gentleman we were introduced to, and we brought him into the former fireside room, and he put up his batting nets in there. So he had 2 cages in there, and he was running in there, and then he went and signed a lease with, is it Burwell that owns that space back there? So we brought that business into town. We brought ETS into town. We brought Loon State Physical Therapy into town. We brought Cairo Way into town. We brought a mentally strong, mental strength coach into town. So we keep bringing to this community because we do care about this community. And part of it, you're right, is financial. And we can help with that too. And we'd still be open to discussing a public-private partnership of some kind to see what that looks like. But we're here to help, and we don't want to be the bad guy. We really don't. We want to help the community that we're a part of. That's helped us grow.
So RT, just to clarify,
Yeah.
because we just read that your lease was coming to an end. I didn't know that you wanted to stay.
Yeah.
So, but
Yeah.
your intention is you'd love to stay.
We'd want to extend, and whatever that usage looks like, we know it's going to be different because we are building a new facility. We're going to be out in Lake Elmo, but we will have need for use here too. So signing some type of extension. It might be less time, so it allows for more time for other programming. But we discuss that, and we definitely want to stay for a year and then move on past that. Yeah. Yep, that's exactly what we were looking for. So, yeah.
What is your, how do you use Lex?
In the evening times, during our regular season, we're pretty full. Not every night. It's Friday, Saturday, Sunday, we're usually off. So evenings on the weekends, we don't have much programming. Especially during the summer, we have nothing during the summer. We have not very much during the fall. Regular season's a little more during the daytime on the weekends. And then in the evenings, Monday through Thursday, we're pretty full. But that said, with our new facility opening, there's gonna be more time. That'll happen that's basically July 1 of 2023. So that's kind of what the timeline looks like.
Space would be available like for weddings on a Saturday night, or if someone wants to come in and do like a trade show or run a public market.
Oh gosh, yes. I mean, even some stuff that we've done in the past. So there was a night where the car show had Chip Foose in town. And it was over the summer, and they're like, we need a backup site in case it rains, because we can't like say no. We're like, well, please use our space. Like, we're not charging you, and just please use our space. We're not using it. So if something like that even were to come up now, and we're not using the space, it's like, well, please use it. So. Yeah, no, we have really nothing in there at that time until about 5 p.m.-ish. Yeah. Correct. 2 to 5, we don't have much programming at all, even currently. Yeah, 5 to 9:30. 5 to 9:30.
Is the lease
Yeah.
up December 22, or is it up a year from now? Because I'm confused by
It's
that.
gonna be up in this winter, January, and we've worked where we'll do another 6 months to
Yeah.
get them through the winter and into the summer, and hopefully we'll have made decisions by then and so forth, so.
Yeah, because that's another thing. Oh, yes, 100%.
How would I reach
You reach out to me right away. Yep, for sure.
Part of the decision committee, and when does this all take place?
Well, the city council, as I said, has voted.
Please.
Not to get rid of it. And so, then my perspective and, role here is to basically get all of this together and present it to them. And I think the first step that they'll have to look at is, if they're gonna keep it, then we need to start to move with some of the construction planning and all that stuff, the financial planning, to get all of those, the big repairs done. We're doing some short-term stuff now where the roof is getting patched, and they were playing volleyball in 30 degrees or whatever last year.
Yeah, it was.
So we're getting a new heat exchanger and so forth. But I think once the commitment is there and we show that we're gonna make these improvements and turn it into a viable facility, if the council continues to go on that path, then the rest of that stuff starts to happen. How do we work this out potentially long-term? How could we integrate youth programming into it and so forth? But right now, we kind of got the short term that we got to make it livable through the winter, and then the next big piece that if we really want to do this, you really have to step up and get these improvements done and show that, we're serious and we're going to get this stuff.
And
So basically then, so his rent then is just is a set figure that has nothing to do with the renovations and stuff. That's, I'm sure
Right.
part of it will go towards costs for future renovations. However,
Yeah.
I also have one more, so these notes are basically what you're summing up and bringing to your council. I feel like can I write some more detailed notes in? Because I'm not that confident with these going to whoever your people are in terms of making the decision. Right, but that's you and him, and there's 3 sides to a story, and it's, it's how you interpret things. However, if things are written a certain way, everyone has the potential to see and, comprehend it themselves.
a couple things. So one thing that the council did, they allowed, they have a link on their website right now, because we have some people that are passionate as well. And if they're not here, they can submit a detailed feedback online. So I think that opportunity is there. So please do that. And
I will for sure.
yeah, and make sure you're heard.
Yeah.
That's one thing that we've always we've always been concerned about this during this process, and I'll be really honest, this process, Councilmember Sonic and Councilmember Peterson know that this process for us has been literally 5 years long. And at every turn, what we are wanting is we are wanting to be heard. And at times we felt like we weren't, and that's when we were most frustrated. So please use that form. Talk to a council member. Like, do everything you can so you feel heard. Yeah, and
I would happily submit that, because my perspective here is that everything that comes up tonight, they're gonna see it.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna have all of that in the report. I'm not gonna edit it and take this piece out. I want them to get a complete picture of what you said. And so if you wanna add to that, that's great. So feel free, and I'll make sure that that gets in.
So I would just find it online then and just kind of
Walk
go
in my
over that?
car.
Okay, yeah. So like, if that's the case though too, so would any one of us here have the potential to meeting with you guys as a whole, or just different people? Or, cause like, so part of my background in so I'm like a global investment banker, but I hold quite a few different titles. And one of my specialties is working with bond councils throughout the US. So I know how all that works in terms of finding funding, finding investors who are gonna invest in it, and writing out a plan on, okay, in a course of say 5 years, 10 years, this is when and where and how you're gonna see the profit. And then also branching off of that and creating a strategy on, we could do, you know, the markets, the things for elders, because there are a lot of communities, there's a lot of nonprofits, a lot of entrepreneurs and people who just want to donate to certain groups, especially youth, especially elders, to keep them active and stuff like that. And I know a lot of contacts. My friend Gina knows a lot of contacts. This is what she does. She's in recreation. That's her specialty. So just in terms of that, if we are given an opportunity to speak to not just you, I would like that opportunity just to see how really you are going to base your decision off of, because this is not a small thing.
Right.
Our kids, like, I don't even know who you are or where you're from or if your kids are from here, but my son is from here. My son goes to North St. Paul, so it is a big deal for me. And I'm not coming here to be upset or anything. I am just very passionate just because my kids are my life. Like, I work my butt off for my kids to give them a bright future. I'm just like all these people that showed up, you know. We're passionate for our kids, you know, and just as you are. But I want to do it in a way where it is open, it's free to not just my son who might be living a more extravagant life than others. I want it to be free and fair for all the other youth who do not have a household that my son and my daughter and my other daughter have. You know, it should all just be open. And I would be even willing to come up with certain brainstorming ideas on how we could get funding, how we could pay for certain things. Taxes, I'm sorry, I know it sucks, but reality is we all gotta pay taxes. The shit always goes up regardless. Look at gas, we gotta pay it, right? We could all complain about it. Sorry, well, we still gotta pay it, you know what I mean? And I'm sorry, but like, I'll pay whatever for my kids to have a future and to utilize this facility.
But you also have to remember the base pay in North St. Paul is way under what you're making. I've been here for 12 years, love this community. I can't afford my taxes to go up anymore, I can't.
Yeah.
The way everything else is going up, my taxes go up, I'm out. Fine. You just by doing that, just kicked me out of this community. So that's.
Do you have kids?
Yes.
How old are they?
13 and 16.
Okay. So you're
Or
against
14 and
this,
17.
or are you against this then? You're for privatizing it and?
The volleyball, they make a ton of money for this community. I want to keep stuff like that coming in here because they make a ton of money for our community.
Do your kids play sports?
No.
Sir?
So that's
Oh,
also
Is this
a
a
difference.
debate or?
I know, I gotta get going anyway.
I'm hearing all the ideas.
Yeah, that's okay. All right, again, think of it as a three-step process. We gotta get it just so folks can survive the winter. Then the next thing, the council stays on the same path. And, you know, there's still flexibility there, but assuming it stays on the same path, then we gotta figure out, you know, how we're gonna turn the building around and make it a viable facility again, period. then you get to the point that how are we gonna program it, what the potentials are and so forth. And that's where I see an opportunity for a lot of input and, an opportunity to shape where it goes. So I kind of see a three-step thing here.
Let me just finish up. I promise. So I'm just going to finish up. So I think the question was, or how we addressed some of your other points again, it was the $70,000, like where does that money go? All we're asking for at this point, because there are very practical things that need to occur, like the plans for the renovations for the community center have to be drawn. They have to be approved by the council. You have to get funding. All of that is going to take time. So that's why we're seeking just a short extension so that can occur. The facility can continue to generate revenue until the council decides what they want to do with it. And if we're a part of that, great, we'd love to be. If we're not, that's okay. Like, we're okay with that. We would just like a decision so that we can move forward as well. That's it. So.
Hi, I'm Candy Peterson. I'm on the city council. I'm just here to listen. I'm getting a lot of good impact and good remarks. There's going to be a change, with the election. That could just throw it all over too. Elections have consequences. So stay tuned. But I'm for the youth, and my husband was a juvenile probation officer, and I had 3 sons, and we kept them on a short leash. But we kept them active, because that was important. So they all turned out pretty good. I don't know about me, but they turned out good. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Erin. I live over by Webster. I have a 4-year-old son and a 1-year-old daughter. And like everybody else, it sounds like, I'm for doing something great in the community center and kind of getting it up and going again. But I want to say, I do love everybody's perspective, because everybody comes from, they're seeing everything through the lens of your own family, your kids, all that kind of stuff. And it's very interesting to me, like you being here was like a Hallmark twist. And I was like, oh, it's very interesting. I didn't know that piece of it, so that was very informative. And I think that it's been great that you've been in there this whole time, now that we know that, and that you've been generating money, and that you've brought people into town and other businesses. I think that that's great. And then I also love the fact that we can get it up and going for our community. Like we just all mentioned, it's gonna be a while. This is not like we're gonna open it up to the community next week. It's just. That's impossible. We're talking about like years of everybody like voting and renovating and finding staff and programs to go in there. This is going to take a long time, and that's okay, because we'll get the right bodies in there. I think that we all just have to be positive and encouraged by the fact that that can happen. But also, being in that waiting space is okay too. But my son just finished up baseball, and we almost had to go out of North St. Paul to find a baseball team. But a dad of 5 kids, I was like, you're insane for doing this. You have 5 kids. Yeah, but he was like, I want my kids to stay in North St. Paul. I want them to play sports in North St. Paul. I want that for my babies. And but the right people have to step up and do it. It takes warm bodies to make these things happen, and it sounds like people are willing, to do it, and I think that that's great. But I also think that there's a way to generate money. I think that it's great to be open for the kids to go in there for free, like you mama bears over there are saying. I think that that's wonderful. But I think like programs like his are wonderful. Opening it up for weddings, wonderful. Like wedding venues are such a big industry that generate money. Weddings in general, it's silly, isn't it? But it generates money. Craft shows, it's all up there. And I think that it can all be done in a way that benefits the community, but also makes money. Like this gentleman over here beside you, like the whole taxes thing, it's just stuff that we're gonna have to deal with, and are we willing to do it? Or are we willing to be creative to figure out how we can generate money if people are unwilling for the whole tax thing. It's just, to every problem, there is a solution. And I think that we'll figure it out if we all stay positive and be encouraged by what can be in there.
Hi, my name's Elaine Barton. I live over by Colby Hills, so not all that close, but National Night Out. National Night Out. Anyway, there's a lot of good ideas. I certainly don't disagree with any of them. I do want to reinforce, though, 15, 16, and 17 as you've numbered them. Because if we're going to have a community center, it needs to be for all community members. And I understand the emphasis tends to be usually on kids because they're not as independent as the rest of us are. But we also do have an aging community, and we have a lot of seniors. We've got a lot of senior housing that's relatively new, and a lot of townhomes with smaller families that may not have children. And when I think about your next steps, one thing I do want the council to do is really think about what can the city afford? I mean, because there's lots of ideas here, and we may not be able to afford all of them. So what really can it afford? What's realistic? Because when, again, I think, can't remember who, it may be John down there, who mentioned that, the community center just didn't make it last time. There just weren't enough people utilizing it. That might have been the programming, who knows? But at any rate, that's my input.
Adam Sidler, I'm a senior pastor at North Haven Church off of McKnight there, and you can all hear me, right? I think a couple of things are at play here. One, I just want to piggyback on what you said. This is one of the most varied demographic-wise of all communities in the Twin Cities. Economics, age, ethnicities. I mean, it's a melting pot of all those different variances. And so I think that it is important to consider all those aspects as we continue to navigate through this. I mean, I see firsthand, day in and day out, a lot of need in this community. 40% is the threshold, I believe, in public schools in regards to whether a school qualifies for food assistance. And Richardson Elementary, for example, just down the road is at 70%. So there's a huge financial need, a lot of single moms, single parents in this community as well. The pandemic was a huge travesty because a lot of kids were left at home by themselves without anywhere to go. And so I think one of the things that's really apparent, because I've been a part of this discussion, I know when the food shelf was looking for a new location and we were having conversations, Terry was organizing a bunch of pastors to come together, and the school board was invested in that conversation as well. And they've been able to experience some solutions, which has been fantastic. The community center was on the table at that point too. And I think it's like, so the city has agreed to keep the building, which I think is great. And now it's like we're trying to figure out how to fit a square peg into a round hole. We got this thing, and I think it's all in the absence of a vision that the city should have for the needs of the community. And I think if we started there first, we'd be able to discover together how it is that we can make these connections and these community efforts the most palatable for all these different endeavors. I think that the community center is a great resource, and of course there's a logistic issue financially that we have to be aware of, and we can't just be flippant about. But at the same time, in the absence of that vision for our community's needs, we have to decide, are we going to make that the foundation and then build all the foundation or the financial logistics and details off of that foundation, that vision, or are we going to be motivated by our decisions based on the finances? It seems like we're going the wrong direction in that regard. With that in mind, I would say that I think maybe the city, there's obviously a financial hit if the city were to take the building in its completeness. but maybe there needs to be an adjustment to the city's budget in order to make that happen. Maybe there's a lack of priority with the budget itself that isn't addressing community needs, that if it were adjusted in order to accommodate that financial discrepancy, we'd be able to make this work in a way that meets more of our needs.
You got it. You got it. Come on. Say something.
All right, my name is Ramadan Hassan. I go to North St. Paul High School. I didn't even know there was a community center here. I think we should keep it as a rec center where kids can go, seniors can go play, have fun after school. That's about it. That's pretty much.
My name is Brevin Conway, and I'm gonna be a junior at North St. Paul. And I didn't even know there was a rec center either, or a community center. And cause my sister used to play volleyball there, and at the Cocorio, whatever you call it, I don't know how you call it. And I just thought it was a volleyball place until I heard about this thing now. And I think we should have it as a community center, and just for people to go and have fun and, for a safe environment. That's it.
My name's Ryder Salinas. I'm going to be a junior at North St. Paul High School. And same with them, too. I never knew there was a community center here.
You guys haven't been to the library there?
No. But I think it would really benefit all of us if we keep it as a community center, and I feel like it'll just be a real safe environment for everybody.
I'm Nicole. I'm Brevin's mother. I also had a daughter that played volleyball at Kokoro, and nothing against Kokoro, but when we were coming in and going out, there weren't a lot of businesses open. For us to utilize the businesses in North St. Paul, like you talked about, bringing those parents in, so they're essentially coming in to profit Kokoro, which is fine. We all have a business and a place, but my daughter did it one session. It wasn't the most enjoyable experience, and I, too, as a parent, didn't know that it was a community center for kids to be able to utilize. I realized that there was a library there, but it just seemed like it was something that was being turned into a private facility for volleyball, which is fine. But if this is an option, like the parents in the front, I too have to drive my kids. I have 4 kids in this community, and my taxes have gone up and continue to go up to kind of utilize some of the schooling and making them a better place for them, because we have younger generation families coming in, and if we don't have opportunities in the community for these families, what's going to make them want to come and move to North St. Paul? What's making it stick out? If there aren't facilities for them to utilize, and for the stay-at-home moms to bring their kids on Toddler Tuesdays, or for the seniors for them to be able to go and utilize and have coffee day and game day, that too is important to me, especially having all age children. And I just think that if it's a stone's throw from the school, it makes it easier for the kids that don't have parents in their life to be able to drive them to and from said community centers. And it gives them an option to utilize spaces that aren't troubled spaces. And I understand that there's a financial piece of it, but with different programs and projects, some of the kids could even help staff and work the facilities to kind of give them something positive to look forward to, and give them a sense of community by being involved in keeping it nice for them. So I am for the community center, because again, I didn't even know it was an option, and for the kids.
Patrick Bleeth. I've lived in North St. Paul for about 46 years, with a gap in the middle when I didn't live here, but it's really pleasing to hear all the passion in the room for what people are seeking. Mario, the organization of yours sounds tremendous, and you have a passion for it, and it seems as though you could really bring a lot to the table as far as helping with programming and being a part of the team, if you will. That's really, and that's something that I'm hearing here about people in this room willing to step up and help. And a piece of this goes back to my background being a scouter. In scouting, our troop was set up where the boys did the planning. At that time, it was just Boy Scouts. Now it's not just Boy Scouts, but the youth helped with the planning. They figured out what they wanted to do, and they figured out how to do it, and the adults were there fully supporting and helping so that they wouldn't go awry. But if we're going to do stuff for youth, get the youth seriously involved. Have them help figure out what they want to do. Have them figure out how they want to do it. And then I think that's an important piece. I also really support the idea of all ages being a part of this. So I think the money can work itself out when everybody is in it.
I've been an employee of the city for over 23 years, so I've seen a lot of changes over there.
Now the interim city manager.
There you go.
Yeah.
So we've seen, the city's had a passion for that place for a very long time. In the time that I've worked here, we've always had to fund it and supplement it. It never paid for itself. I mean, and we're talking hundreds of thousands of dollars a year. We tried many different programs there, working with the high school. They had a cooking program there. They actually made a cafe there that the kids ran to learn some business skills. There was a food fair of sorts that was there. So the city certainly has a passion to see this place work, and it's why we're here tonight. And it's great to hear you guys. We would love to see this passion grow and move into something more and maybe have a multi-use. It could be a really great building. We've seen a lot of demographic changes in the past 10, 20 years. So maybe it is time to get real serious about this, and hopefully the public can really pull up their shoes and boots and really make this happen. So I really appreciate you guys coming here tonight.
What's your name?
Brian Frandl.
Hello, my name is Jim Mitchell. I'm Mario's father. Mario's my third of 5 sons. And he started the YIM program because he had seen me. I worked at the St. Paul Public School and also Boys Totem Town Juvenile Correction for 22 years. So I worked 15 and a half hours for 22 years, working with young people at risk, coaching boys and girls basketball. You know, so the passion that you see from him, you know, I pretty much trained him. But the thing I love about him in the YIM program is that he is so connected throughout the Twin Cities for resources. You know, some of the things that the center of the program may need, he's connected. He knows where to go and who to contact and what have you, because when I was a community ambassador, I'm still working at 70 years old on the street Tuesday and Thursdays with some churches, just trying to work with at-risk youth. But the thing that Mario, I was impressed with Mario, was that when he worked for me as a community ambassador, I would always have my own resources, then Mario come along with 3 or 4 more that I had. You know, so like, dang, if everybody did that, you know, there's an old saying that says, the acronym team, together everyone achieves more. So when I had what I had, but then he came along and topped what I was doing, you know, which inspired me again. You know, so I hear all these different ones talking about their ideas, you know, and where their experiences lie. And so my word to you is, I live in St. Paul, so Mario lives in North St. Paul. You know, I came to support him, like I said, him and Angel, and my 2 grandsons. I got to see their first baseball game last week and all of that. But, you know, I'm going to say this, we are here to support you. My wife does social etiquette and dining and things like that, so the community center work readiness, all of that. So the community center will be a place where we could support you whatever you need, you know, working with both seniors, intergenerational groups, both seniors and youth, you know, so it's needed, you know, because they need to learn from me and I need to learn from them. When I was working at Totem Town Juvenile Correction, sure, they was supposedly criminals, but as a male, I could teach them a lot of things that they didn't know that they didn't have a male around. So my thing to you is like, be open, don't be afraid, you know, there's somebody that's always gonna come along to intervene to help smooth over the situation if you're afraid. But I know that these young men, you know, can do it, you know, but they need guidance. You know, they need a place to go and do what they need to do or what they want to do. And from there, the sky's the limit. All right?
Welcome. I just want a quick feedback. We support, our church support Mario and YM as well. I forgot to mention that, but you know, that's, if you don't know Mario yet, you got to connect with him. His passion, just as you said, for the youth in this community is unparalleled. So. Excellent. Good.
Corey Schmidt, live in north end of North St. Paul, near Mario. I'm also here to support Mario. I think what he's doing is great. It's the majority of the reason I'm here, but I do think the community center should stay a community center. It should be free. It should be, you know, it's not for profit, not a private business. It should be something for the children to go to, anybody in the community. But I think, you know, if our tax dollars can build the community center, our tax dollars can take care of it. That's how it should be. If we're going to make a profit, if it's for private business, buy a building in North St. Paul, develop it, pay taxes, and that'll help the community center that way. So it should be separate. I think the community center should stay for the community. That's it.
Okay. My name's Buddy Martin. I live in the community. I'm here because I do support the community center, and I also support Mario's initiative. I recently came to know Mario through the police department's Cops and Kids Fishing Clinic that's held annually, and I'm a sponsor of that. And Mario reached out to ask how he could sponsor it as well. And I'm a retired cop from Maplewood, and one of my community areas was Landfall when we contracted with the city of Landfall. And we had a Cops and Kids Fishing Clinic there too, and I ran that every year. And there was nobody beating down our door to ask how they could sponsor that clinic for the youth. And here Mario's reaching out, saying, what can I do to help? And that was just really impressed me, it touched me, and you know, his interest in improving the community and helping youth is genuine. And I appreciate that and support it. That's it.
Excellent, excellent. Now, Carrie, we had you monitoring the website and so forth. Any comments that you got there that we should be sure and add?
No one with their hands up at this time.
Oh, okay, good. All right. Well, again, my thanks to all of you for coming. And as I said, think of it as a three-step approach where, again, we just got to make it safe for the winter. And then if the council does decide to keep it as it's previously voted, we have a lot of work to do just to figure out how to get that done and get all the construction moving forward and so forth to make it a viable facility again. And I think what I'll recommend in the report too is that I'm really impressed with all the interest here, and I think some type of community advisory group down the road is, if we see this becoming a viable facility again, will really be helpful in terms of programming and how all of that can come together. So, yes, sir.
Just to be clear, the city owns it. I mean, that's not even, I mean, even if there's an extension, it's still the city's regardless, yeah, so.
Yeah.
You were using some vernacular, I just wanted to get some clarity on that. The
Yeah.
city owns it regardless.
Yes.
Yes.
Absolutely.
I would also say for your advisory board, add the youth on your board.
Yes.
I like what he said.
Absolutely.
I mean, that's our future, so they should have a voice.
You mean actually put somebody on a board that's impacted by
I
what we
mean,
do?
Crazy, crazy. Now we're getting a little crazy today.
And again, it's my intent as I put together the report for the council is to include everything that came up here. I'm not gonna edit it or put things in or leave it out, so what you said will go into that report verbatim as much as I can. Now, I do have one more favor to ask of you before you go, and we've got some little dots. There we are. Carrie's got the dots. Before you go, would you just kind of go up there and put 3 dots up there, a dot or two on which ones you think are the most important to you? I'm not going to rank them when I do the report, but I am going to kind of give them an idea of what what people tend to think were the most important issues and so forth. So I could ask you just to put a dot up there before you go, and this will be very helpful to me to put together in the report for the council. And as a old city manager, I'm impressed with the passion and commitment in the room. We've got a lot of good ideas and a lot of folks that want to see some stuff happen, and that's very positive for the community. So, on behalf of the city council and me as a consultant, thank you very much. And that report will be available at some future point when I get that done and get it to the council. And anything else, if you want to add it, just get it to me or get it to Carrie, and I'll get it into the report. So, thank you for taking time.
Thank you.
Let me know where all those funding sources are.
Kids who have any quotes or anything like that, because this council giving quotes every fall. I mean, to our organizations, probably been doing it until November. This year we're done.